All right, so today we are going over hitting the 50 employee mark. This is coming up because I've had several people reach out to me getting trolled, getting solicited, getting harassed from their payroll vendors. Harassed, it might be an exaggeration, but it certainly feels that way when you're an employer and getting close to hitting 100 employees, hitting 50 employees. You pop up on all of these lists, and one of those lists is usually with your payroll vendor, and your payroll vendor will reach out to you, and usually a rep will try to use some scare tactics into getting you to buy something that you may or may not need. So that's what this video is for, to go over, do you need health insurance when you reach 50 employees? And the answer is yes, sometimes, and no, sometimes. So it depends. The big question, do we have to offer health insurance now that we have 50 employees? The short answer is it depends. So we're going to go through what triggers the employer mandate under the Affordable Care Act. The first step is determining whether or not you're a ALE or applicable large employer. And there's some math that you are going to have to do, and the rule came about because it was originally set to be once you hit 50 employees, you have to offer health insurance. That's how the bill, the ACA, was written. And then clarification had to happen because a lot of employers, large employers, were talking about, okay, fine, I will split up my company. I'll put 30 over here and 20 over there, and we're done. Well, the ACA came back and adjusted the legislation and said as long as there's common ownership, those two would be considered over 50. They would add those employees together. So you can't separate the entities and get out of this by doing it that way. The other side step was, fine, I'll make everyone part-time. Well, you can't sidestep that either, because there's this math equation you have to go through where you take basically all of your employees' hours, add them up, and if they equal more than 30 hours a week times 50, then you have to offer the health insurance. So there's some math there. A full-time equivalent, why I'm referencing the 30 hours is because full-time under ACA is 30 hours a week or more. It's not the typical 40 hours a week, it is 30 hours a week. And so if you have two employees that are working 15 hours a week, that is considered one full-time equivalent, in short. And again, there's some math there that does need to be done. If you have questions about this, I have a link down below. You can reach out to me directly and schedule a one-time free consultation to go over this stuff in more detail in your specific situation. So what happens if you are an ALE? So if you are an applicable large employer, you are subject to the employer shared responsibility under ACA. That means you could face penalties. So this is where the scare tactics aren't just scare tactics, they're real life. And if you don't offer the coverage, there will be some penalties. And not only do you have to offer coverage, it has to be a minimum value coverage. So there's a baseline to the type of plans you have to offer, and also there's a lot of definitions around what is affordable and what is not. That honestly is two separate videos all in itself. Those two subjects are so large and can be so detailed. If you are an applicable large employer, you think you are, and you need help with this, again, just reach out to our office. We'll do what we can to show you what plans are out there that would be considered minimum value. What are the penalties? So penalties for not offering coverage is $2,970 per employee minus the first 30. So if somebody has less than 30 employees that they're going to be eligible for offering coverage to, it is a moot point. So sometimes when those employers have a bunch of variable hour employees, a lot of turnover, or the employees that do stick around, there's less than 30, you may be better off just not doing the penalty. You may get picked on a little bit as far as getting audited, and again, with the payroll vendors reaching out to you, you're probably going to have a really great accountant to back you up. But you technically would not have a penalty. Penalty B, coverage is not affordable. So there are formulas in place to determine whether or not the amount of money that the employees are paying towards their health insurance is deemed affordable or not. This can be very troublesome when an employer has a lot of low wage earners or wage earners that are near federal poverty levels. And again, there's some equations that need to be done to see if this is a penalty that you will be subject to. We want to make sure that you're offering plans that not only are of minimum value, hitting that baseline of minimum value or bronze level coverage, and or bronze level coverage, because they are two separate definitions, the minimum value and the bronze, or if you are not making those plans affordable and passing the definition of affordability under the ACA. Do you have to offer it? Technically, no. If you are an applicable large employer and choose not to offer the coverage, you need to be okay with the penalties. So some employers out there say, you know what, the penalties are less than offering the affordable coverage, and we're just going to go ahead and pay the penalties. That is a strategy as well. Key considerations before you decide your budget. What can you realistically afford? We don't want to put the business out of business, right? Just because of health insurance and penalties and regulations. Competitive. What are other companies your size doing? Are you being competitive with other employers out there to attract the best employees? What are your employees' expectations? Will not offering benefits hurt your culture, hurt the employees, or hurt morale or recruiting? Penalties and costs of the benefit value. Again, let's just run the math. It can get pretty complicated, so offering that level of detail over a YouTube video can be quite difficult, and a short one at that. If I put out a video that's more than 15 minutes, people just don't watch it. So if you are an applicable large employer and want to know more about whether or not the plans you're offering are affordable and whether or not you're going to meet the minimum value threshold, or you want to explore other options, please reach out to me. I do have a link down below. And I do have some quick pro tips here for you. You want to be sure to, if you're getting close to the 50 employee mark, you want to start tracking your head count monthly and tracking how many hours employees worked per month. Create a simple spreadsheet. It doesn't have to be too complicated, because we're looking in the rears. We're looking at this point, 2024, so a year ago. So let's say you are an employer, you hit 50 employees and it's May 2025. You do not have to offer insurance today. You'll be looking at 2026 to see if you need to offer coverage in 2026. Because basically, if you fall over 50 employees for more than 6 months out of the prior calendar year, so again, looking at 2024, you would have to offer coverage in 2025. So as of right now, if you're an employer and you just hit the 50 employee mark, and for the rest of the year you're going to be over 50 employees, most likely you will have to offer the coverage. Otherwise, you're going to be getting a penalty, because we'll be looking at 2026 going forward. So how do we help? We look at, obviously, whether or not you're an applicable large employer. We model costs and talk about what are those penalties going to be versus the cost of offering the benefits. We explore specific customizations to save you time, money, and stress, and navigate the compliance and give you advice on where to go for reporting. Final thoughts: crossing the 50 employee threshold is a big milestone. It's not only ALE, it's other compliance issues, HR issues that you may be facing. It's a big milestone to be considering. It's best if, again, you today are hitting over the 50 employee mark, start thinking about what it's going to be looking like for you in 2026 now. Not sure where you are and where your business stands? Let's talk. Let's go and get a consultation with me. Again, there's a quick link down below. And my disclaimer is, I'm not your broker, not your attorney, I'm not your CPA, I'm not your financial advisor. I am an insurance broker on the internet telling you about the problems I see come up every day and trying to help out others in the industry, other employers, other small groups, large groups that may be out there looking for resources and tips on which direction to go. I'm hoping to be a shortcut, if you will. However, this is not specific advice to you. I'm not your broker until you hire me. I don't know your specific plan details. I don't know your company details. This is meant to be very general educational information. I'm just someone who has worked in the insurance industry for over 20 years now, and I want to help you avoid some of the more common and expensive mistakes. So with that, thank you for hanging out until the end. Hopefully you found this video useful, and I will be producing some more videos here coming up, again from the perspective of what happens in real life in HR, what happens with the employees in every step, what are some of the pitfalls I see that come up that you're probably not going to see on most videos. Because of my 20 years, I've seen patterns over the years and what happens, how employees react, how employers react, and can help mitigate some of the pitfalls, get you some shortcuts in the process, and I will be going over some of those in the next video. Thank you for hanging out to the end. We'll see you next time.